acute flaccid paralysis. It is defined as the sudden onset of weakness of the muscles which may progress to severe flaccidity causing paralysis. The common causes include there are three causes: peripheral neuropathy, disorders of NMJ, and the acute myelopathy. The peripheral neuropathy includes GBS or the Guillain-Barré syndrome, poliomyelitis, and or viral myositis. Now, the common disorders of NMJ or the neuromuscular junction are myasthenia gravis, botulinism, OPC poisoning, and or snake bite. The common causes of acute myelopathy includes transverse myelitis and the spinal cord injury or its compression. Now let's do the examination part in the CNS. Starting from the HMF, that is higher mental functioning, which includes consciousness, orientation to time, place, person, and the language, that is speech. Although there are more in it, but these three are the most important in assessing the higher mental functioning. Now coming to the cranial nerves. Here we begin with first cranial nerve, which is olfactory, that is the smell, for which we can use coffee powder, soap, or shampoo. In the second cranial nerve, we check for visual acuity or the color and the pupils. In the third, fourth, and sixth cranial nerve, we basically see the eye movements. In the fifth cranial nerve, we'll check for facial sensations of touch, pain, and temperature. We also look for muscles of mastication and the corneal reflex. In the seventh cranial nerve, we have to see the wrinkling of the forehead by asking the patient to look up without tilting their head. Also check whether the patient is able to close his eyes. Also look at the angle of mouth, and at last check the taste sensation in the anterior two-thirds of the tongue. For checking the 8th cranial nerve, we can order Rennie's, Weber, or other hearing test. The 9th and the 10th cranial nerves are checked with respect to uvula's position or the gag reflex. The 11th cranial nerve by shrugging of shoulders and asking the patient to look left or right by turning the neck. The 12th cranial nerve can be assessed by tongue movements. Now let's see the motor system examination. Here we first look at the muscle bulk and compare it with the other side, that is checking the calf muscle circumference of both the legs. If more than 10% difference, then it is significant. The second is the tone, whether spastic or the clasp knife, rigid or like the lead pipe, or flaccid. Then we check the power as shown in this table. Now we come to a deep tendon reflexes, specifically the knee jerk, and also we can see the superficial reflexes, that is the abdomen, cremasteric, and plantar. After doing the motor system examination, we now examine the sensory system. Here we check the touch, pain, temperature, vibration, and the joint position. Then we check cerebellum by looking for nystagmus and intentional tremors. Here we do tests like rebound phenomena, finger nose finger test, past pointing test, alternate movement test, and also look at the patient's walking and standing gait. Now let's see another important topic of CNS, that is meningitis. Here we shall only see the important signs: neck rigidity, fever, headache, Kernick sign. The Kernick sign, which is seen by passively unable to extend the knee joint for more than 135 degrees. Brudzinski's neck sign, which on passive flexion of neck in supine position there occurs flexion of hip joint. The third and the last important topic in CNS is febrile convulsions, which is defined as GTCS type of convulsions with the body temperature more than 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit in a neuronormal child. This means if in our clinic we see a less than 5-year-old child presenting with complaint of abnormal body movements with the history of fever and otherwise the child is normal, then the most probable diagnosis should be febrile convulsions, and the most common type being SFC or the simple febrile convulsions, which last for less than 15 minutes and mostly single episode in a day. The treatment is also simple as controlling fever with PCM and cold sponging, giving tablet clobazam till the fever subsides or at least 3 days and treating the underlying cause of fever. There is no need of any EEG or MRI in SFC patients. Now let's dive into CVS, the most important being CHD, that is the congenital heart disease. Note, children with symptomatic CHD mostly presents in CHF. Hence, the clinical features are very important to know. The clinical features are similar to pneumonia, that is tachypnea, chest retraction, nasal flaring, cough, etc. Another feature includes sweating over the forehead, suck rest, suck cycle. In this, the mother complains that her child tries to feed but in between feeding stops and refuses. Since decrease feeding, hence gradually the child fails to thrive. The patient may also show hepatomegaly, bilateral pedal edema, tachycardia and tachypnea, and on auscultation, murmurs may be present. Note, in case a RHD patient is given to you, then you must have the knowledge of Jones criteria, including the recent modification like adding polyarthralgia in high incidence areas. Also, do study the mitral stenosis, especially its sequel, and of course, the treatment and the prevention strategies.